Welcome back to the Lipoedema Podcast. We are your hosts, Shell
and Tiana, and it's just another co-host chat today with Shelley and I shooting the breeze. And today we're going to talk about conservative management because I don't know about you, Shell, but mine looks very different from before now.
Yeah. Well, mine stayed, I'm quite consistent with certain things, but, I've added other things in and like let some fly, and I've dropped things away and I got to a point where I'm just like, I can't be bothered wearing compression today. So I guess, it does change as you go along. And the other day I said something on a reel about conservative management and someone said, Google it, conservative management is how we look after chronic conditions. And I didn't realize that. So I just thought it was it's not just lipedema. It's whatever you do to care for whatever chronic condition you have is classed as conservative management.
I suppose, so I guess it's the umbrella term, right?
Yeah.
Because it's things that you do on a regular basis consistently that you have control over.
Yeah.
And it's non-invasive, right? Conservative is the opposite to invasive.
Yeah, that's right.
And, surgery, of course, is quite invasive. So that would be an invasive management strategy. Interesting.
So how has yours changed? Or maybe we'll say, what were you doing when you were first diagnosed? What were some of the things you made sure you included in your day? Sorry, before we go on, conservative management is a medical treatment that avoids invasive procedures like surgery. You nailed it. It's often used when surgery is too risky, the patient isn't fit for surgery, or the benefits of surgery aren't sufficient.
Awesome.
Yeah. So back pain, neck pain, spinal conditions, and kidney failure. It goes on and on. Any condition.
It's the umbrella term. But in terms of lipedema, we have sort of been told that conservative management is anti-inflammatory diet, lymphatic support mechanisms, and compression wear. I would say those are the three things. Compression wear is part of that lymphatic support thing, but I feel like it's somehow on its own.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess when I was first diagnosed, I was already using a vibration platform and I didn't know why. Mum bought it and then gave it to me to borrow years ago. And I just liked the way it felt. I sort of used it to wake up in the morning and to warm up before my exercise.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because it sort of limbered up the body a little bit instead of going into a stretch or something and then being super cold. And so I kind of intuitively liked it. I didn't realize it had lymphatic benefits. So that was really interesting. And so I obviously continued to do that with a little bit more intention that it was something to support my lymphatics. And I genuinely had a good diet before I found out about lipedema, but my troubles with my diet sort of come in ebbs and flows. And what usually transpires when I'm in a bad way with my diet is snacking and dessert type snacking. So I'm a real sweet tooth, and especially cakes and biscuits, quite carb heavy and sugar. So carbs and sugar and fat, all three.
That bliss point, baby.
Oh, and it gets me. Heavily influenced. I'm gullible and influenced and all of the things. So, when I'm in a bad, way in terms of my diet, it's usually what it looks like. So my meals are very healthy, very balanced. I do genuinely enjoy healthy food and I do have healthy meals. And they're usually naturally on a lower carb spectrum, not a low carb spectrum, but lower carb. Mm-hmm. So that was sort of a tick in my mind. I wasn't going to become keto or carnivore, although it would be so cool to be a keto girly. We'll talk about that later. I've never been able to get on that train, but it was, lower carb. So I'd always have a wrap instead of a roll or a salad instead of, a pasta or something else. It just naturally went that way. But what I do fail on in my bad times is desserts, cookies, cakes, that sort of thing, chocolate. Although I don't think chocolate's that bad. A couple of squares of dark chocolate, curbs some cravings, and I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that was that. And then I knew that I had to have, some sort of compression and then manual lymphatic drainage. So when I first got diagnosed, those two things were, in the to be determined pile.
Yeah.
And I got onto my lymphatic therapist, Lisa, from Lymphatic Health and Massage. She's in Browns Plains. Look her up if you're anywhere around there. She's fantastic. And I ended up scheduling monthly appointments quite quickly. So that was like the first thing, I suppose, that I added to my toolkit.
Yeah.
And I must say, like, it's something that I really enjoy doing. It's so relaxing. Lymphatic massage is very gentle and I enjoy going. I enjoy chatting with Lisa. Sometimes I get to meet other people that are going in for lymphatic massage, which is really nice. So that was a pleasant thing to incorporate. And then the compression, where I was really not ready at first. And so what I ended up doing, and why I created my Instagram, one of the reasons why I used my Instagram account for was for like wearing it with clothes, normalizing wearing it with clothes. So the outfit of the day with compression. And that was just to like make something that's not so fun a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
And I ended up being a huge advocate for compression.
Yeah.
How about you? When you first were diagnosed, what were you doing in terms of?
So it was really weird the way like it all happened. Like, so within like a month, I'd learned about the lymphatic system and was introduced to Chelsea Jean for Loves. I listened to a podcast and heard the word Lipoedema. And then I was at a Journey to Worthy Day, and one of the speakers was a double amputee, and she was talking about learning to accept her legs. So within a month, I'd gone, okay, this is my lymphatic system. I have this wrong with my legs, and I should be showing my legs because I've got legs. It was the craziest month. And then I was officially diagnosed, the week later after it was like 4 things in a row. So I'd already started learning about the lymphatic system. So dry brushing and self-massage were like the first thing I did, and they continue to be like my number one thing. Although I have moved away from the gloves to dry brush, it was a bit spiky for me. As I've softened my skin's a little bit more sensitive now. So I used just like a bristle brush from my MLD. She gave me a bristle brush. So I used that, but then I self-massage with the rollers. Mm-hmm. But I don't self-massage every day. I do dry brush every day. I got into compression. It took almost a year after I was diagnosed to get on that train, and you were probably the one who pushed me a little bit. I was like, okay, she can do it. I can do it. We both live in Queensland.
Yeah, it's hot.
Let's do this.
The time is hot.
Yeah.
We were both diagnosed around summer, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I was November. I think you were February.
Lame.
Yeah, stupid. Like having babies in summer. So it wasn't until the September after that I started wearing compression. And I was really good. I was wearing it all the time. And lately I've been having days off. Like, I don't like the feel of compression under pants.
Yeah.
So if I'm wearing pants,
won't to your fabric.
Yeah. If I'm wearing pants, I don't wear compression. But I wear dresses a lot, so I'm generally in compression. So yeah, dry brushing, compression. I have a vibration plate.
Yeah. Not so
it is. I should. It's just a real, I don't know. I don't like standing still for too long.
It's a lot of wasted time.
It's 15 minutes of just standing. What else could I be doing?
Yeah, I saw you in the kitchen one day.
I was cooking bacon. I'm like, all right, well, I've got to get the bacon cooked. Let's just whip it out. But I really, every week or every time we speak, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get the vibration plate. And I was just listening to a podcast with Karen Herbst on my way here, and she says her number one thing is a vibration plate.
Oh, dead out.
Yes.
That's so interesting. Not a lympha press, not a compression. Like, interesting.
Vibration plate is her number one thing.
Wow.
And it was, sorry, I know I'm probably going to go a little off track, but she also said that compression and like massage and anything we can do, fat likes to be pushed, and fat needs to be pushed to tell it where it belongs. So she said, it can be molded. So she said, so if you never wore compression, never got MLD, and your fat cells are growing, they're just going to be hanging there because they want something to happen to them. They need to be pushed. They need to be molded. So she was saying, although compression won't get rid of lipedema, it will help how it looks because you're shaping the fat cells, and they like to be pushed against.
I wonder, and maybe this is a discussion for another time with an expert, but like how shapewear falls into that, and like waist trainers and all those things that we've been told that aren't good for our insides, and probably like You could imagine that depending on the severity of waist trainer that you're wearing, probably not with variant size. Like that's just common sense.
Yeah.
But maybe shapewear that's giving you that waist throughout the day, maybe it is sort of shaping you in some way for the longer term.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting to know.
Yeah. Yes, I'll put a link to it. It was really good. It was part of the Bendy Bodies podcast, a lady. Oh, and I didn't know this. Karen Herb said she has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Interesting.
Alison hypermobility. Oh, both. I can't remember now. Oh my God, now I'm
I
confused.
wonder whether she knew that before she became such an advocate for us, or whether she found that out after. Interesting. Yeah, definitely link it.
I'll link it. It was a really good one.
Yeah. But you also have a pump, don't you?
I do.
Yes.
I'm pretty shit at that too.
Yeah. Go through ebbs and flows.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not consistent with them at all.
So your consistent routine is
dry brushing and P3. I go
P3.
Okay, so I go to P3 5 days a week. My daughter works there. She's 16. She works there. So I have to take her and pick her up. So if it's a Friday night, I'll go an hour early and I'll go and sit in their compression room and then I'll go and hop in the pools. So P3 is contrast therapy. So it's 4 pools. There's ice, hot, cold, and warm. And you stay in each pool for 4 minutes. And you do 3 rounds. I start in warm because I've just woken up. So I start in warm so then I can finish on cold.
Okay.
Because finishing on cold, my MLD told me finishing on cold means your body has to warm itself back up.
Cool.
And we want our body to warm itself back up and refresh all that blood. So, so that's the way I do it. And more habit stacking, I've started walking laps in the pools.
Nice.
So I'm only in each pool for 4 minutes, but I walk up and down. And if other people are in there, I'm like, do you mind if I do some laps? No one's ever said, no, stay still, shut your eyes, deep breathe, be quiet. They're all like, yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
And the other day, a guy goes to me, here comes the underwater jogger. I'm like, hey.
There.
So I conservatively, I'm okay. But I'm going to give myself another goal, and that is to use a vibration.
Yeah, more often.
Yeah. And you do it first thing in the morning?
Yeah, I do it when I work. So it's either if I'm doing because I wake up in the morning and do a workout.
Okay.
And depending on how I feel or depending on my cycle, it depends what kind of workout I do. So in my luteal phase, I really suffer with energy and I'm just sore and I'm really tired. So I do a yoga or a Pilates or a stretch mobility work. So something really low key. And if I'm doing those, most of the time it's hard to start those if I'm not a little bit warm.
Yeah.
So I use the vibration plate to warm up. In the other phases of my cycle where I'm feeling a bit more energetic, I'll do a strength workout or, and usually strength workout when you're working out in 30 minutes, there's not many rest breaks. So it becomes a metabolic type workout just naturally because you're not resting. And so then I use the vibration plate to warm down from those.
Great idea. Yeah.
So it's either before my workout or after my workout, but I always work out first thing in the morning.
So depending on what workout you do, whether you do it before or after. Yeah. So back to, because I just listened to this podcast, but Karen Herbst also said that vibration plate is good for muscle strength, muscle definition, and to look after our muscles.
Well, we sort of have to switch on, don't we, in order to stabilize ourselves on the vibration plate. So it makes sense. And I don't do exercise on the vibration plate, but I think that was the intended way to use it so that you're stabilize yourself while you're doing, say, a push-up. So you put your arms on the vibration plate, you're stabilizing yourself when you're doing a push-up. You're doing squats on it, you're stabilizing yourself. So I think it definitely helps with building more muscle or just making the muscles more dense, more stable.
Yeah, because mine came with some of the little hand things.
Never used them.
No, I think I threw them away.
Anyway, I really like my vibration plate, but I do scroll on my phone when I'm using it because, as you said, it's kind of boring. It's 15 minutes of dead time. Obviously, I had a big break from the vibration plate because it's not recommended to use it when you're pregnant.
Okay.
So I didn't do the vibration plate when I was pregnant. And in fact, there was a lot of conservative management that I didn't do while I was pregnant. And thank goodness for MLD because that was what I did once a month until the month before I was due.
Oh, okay. So you do it almost right up.
Right up.
Excellent.
And so I finished, my last MLD was in mid-August. August and I had Nova like later in September.
Yeah.
So I continued with MLD and that was wonderful. I didn't really wear compression very often. I got some good Medi ones that were a stocking material, not like a flat knit, and that had the room for baby, like it was a maternity one. So that worked really well. And it was winter, so it was much easier to wear compression in the winter. But when I started to get even bigger, it just became too uncomfortable to wear anything like that.
Yeah, because they can be quite firm on your tummy.
Yeah,
which I love. Like, I like that.
Me too.
But when you're pregnant,
not so nice. And of course, none of my other compression fit me. So it's just that one pair of compression that I would wear some of the time. So I wasn't really wearing compression. I wasn't doing the vibration plate. I wasn't allowed to be in the Lymphapress. So my MLD actually messaged the rep for Lymphapress when I was pregnant and asked, and he sort of said recommended not to when you're showing. So in the first trimester, I pulled the zips down on either side so it wasn't compressing my tummy, and I just did my legs. But as soon as I was showing, I stopped using the Lymphapress. And until my third trimester, I would, instead of the Lymphapress, I would just do legs up the wall. But of course, lying on your back in the third trimester is really uncomfortable. You feel a bit sick. Yeah. So I had to stop that as well. Mm-hmm. So third trimester was just,
let's get through this.
Yeah. And then even after I gave birth, it took a long while for me to get back on any of the conservative managements, really. I was trying to breastfeed, and breastfeeding was really difficult for me. I was breastfeeding, but I wasn't making a lot of breast milk. So I was getting, like, my hunger was through the roof. And when I gave birth, I feel like the weight that I gave birth at just skyrocketed through the breastfeeding process. And it's probably because I was super hungry all the time, and you're instructed to eat often to produce the milk. Now, my body didn't produce a lot of milk. I was getting 30 to 40 mils at a time per sitting. And, you have to sustain your baby with like 80 to 100 mils per time. So I was hungry enough to be breastfeeding, but I wasn't making enough milk, so I probably wasn't expending the calories that I was eating. And anyway, so my weight has just ballooned in that process. But I didn't get back on the vibration plate until I felt like my insides were a little bit better. Everything's all like my tummy is all loose. And, it didn't feel very comfortable, and none of my compression fits. So I haven't been in compression. So everything just sort of flew out the window, and it was just time for baby. Yeah. So focus on Nova, put it aside, and then now I'm at the stage where I have to lie in the bed that I've made over the past, she's 5 months old. So, for 5, there's been a break and a noticeable change in my body. And we are so lucky that she's a good sleeper, and we have a really good routine. And so far it's, started to work from, I think, about 3 months she was sleeping through with no bottles overnight. So she might wake up at like 5:30 in the morning for a bottle, but that's sort of stopped now. So now we are all getting good sleep, and I'm feeling a little bit better in the insides. It's time to reestablish my new process.
But that'll still, you won't be able to go back to what it was, because you've got an extra dependent in the house now.
For sure. But I'm also on maternity leave.
Oh, yes, of course.
So this is great for me. I don't have a lot of free time, because she wants to be held, and she doesn't stay in, like, she needs to be carted from here to there. She's not crawling. Yeah. But I do have a lot of downtime. I've always tried to wake up before my kids. So, my children wake up about 6 a.m. Nova, we get her up at about 7:30. So I aim to wake up earlier to support myself at the moment it's only half an hour. So I wake up at 5:30, and that's to give me a bit of leeway if we have a bad night's sleep, because my main concern is sleep.
Absolutely.
I do love a good sleep. So I wake up and I do some sort of workout, and it's getting more intense as I become more confident. And I've got a PT now, and I go twice a week, and I'm just absolutely loving it. It's a mums and bubs class. And so I can push strength with her, because she can tell me whether I'm not doing the right thing. And at home, I do light weights or yoga or whatever, and vibration plate. So that's in the morning. I'm back to some form of intermittent fasting, which is something that I love to do. It's anti-inflammatory, and that's just the way that I prefer to eat. But if I'm hungry, I will eat. Yeah. Or if I'm doing my hour workout with the PT in the morning, I will eat before I go. You know, it's a sensible approach.
Yeah. It's not rigid.
It's not rigid.
Yeah.
I used to be really rigid. I was usually an all or nothing person. And if I broke my fast at 10 a.m. instead of midday, I'd be like, terrible. No,
it's ruined.
It's ruined. Not the case. Every day is a new day with intermittent fasting, and you just do. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying that because I can just get on with it in the morning. This is so busy getting my twins to school, and then Nova needs a feed, and then she's usually ready for a nap, like after all of that chaos happens. So I'm nap trapped because she doesn't sleep in her cot during the day. So that's another story. So that's vibration plate, exercise. I think movement is just key.
Yeah.
And the fact that Nova is that really cute age where she's happily in the pram walking is so great. It's just such a shame that it's so hot because I'm not going out for walks as much as I really want to.
Yeah.
But we go to the shopping centre and walk in the air conditioning.
That's good. Yep, still walking.
So we do something, and then a few days a week the girls will ask to walk to school, and so we'll walk as a family, which is beautiful.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
So I'm trying, actually, one of my goals over the next few weeks is to get my daily step count up because it was, you know, getting around the 6,000 steps a day, and I'm sort of used to that 9,000 steps a day. So I do need to increase my steps. So that's just something I'm focusing on. Then at nighttime, after I put the kids to bed and I have a shower, I get in my lymph press now. And that's been excellent because I did it a couple of times postpartum and I was waking up to go to the bathroom a lot. And I remember when we spoke to Lisa Higgins, she said, you know, the more you do it, the less you'll need to go to the bathroom. Yeah. Definitely the case. So now I'm not waking up consistently and going to the bathroom. So that's
you've got your flow happening now.
That's right.
And it's not all the stagnant stuff sitting there. You've got it all flowing, so there's less excess to get rid of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, with my vibration plate, I do scroll on my phone, but before I scroll on my phone, I open up my lymph and then I use Chelsea's gloves and I do the brush part.
Yep.
And I do the brush part in the central area and then my arms, because my arms are ballooned postpartum with breastfeeding. So I do my arms. And so my legs are getting the wobble and then my arms are getting the dry brushing. Oh, and that takes 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So the rest of the 13 minutes I'm scrolling on my phone.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, actually, I've started, when I hop in the warm pool at P3, I do open all my lymph nodes there. Mm-hmm. So as I'm walking up and down, I'm like, getting into my collarbone and behind my ears and doing all the things. So I've added that in as when I first hop in as well.
Yeah, I never thought about doing that before a swim, but that kind of makes sense, right?
Or even a walk.
Yeah.
Anytime you go to the gym. Yeah.
Just open up our lymph all the time.
Well, didn't Lisa say 3 times a day? You should do the lymph sequence, which takes 2 minutes, 3 times a day.
That's good advice.
Yeah. So you could,
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've been doing, but those are the main things to, like, conservative management wise. I support. I suppose there's other things that I'm implementing slowly for my overall health and fitness, but this is sort of separate to conservative management. I do plan to getting back into my compression. I just need to, like, all of my compression is the size before I was pregnant, and so if I do end up reaching that size again, I'll get back into that compression, and that'll be winter, so it'll be better.
Yeah.
And if I don't, then I'll have to invest in new compression.
New ones.
But I do see myself doing it more in the colder months and then having some reprieve in the warm months now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm post-op on my legs and I really gave it a red hot go. Like, I was in my compression consistently for a very long time post-op, more than the post-op recommendations. So I feel like I can ease off a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then it will be different when I go back to work.
Yeah.
So hopefully not too different. I envisage that I'll just have to wake up earlier and I can still do my workout and my vibration, right? And then the last thing I do in the evening is the lymph press. So I would assume that those things wouldn't change. What we do need to be flexible on is if Nova has a sleep regression or something like that. If we get less sleep, sleep is my number one thing.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to wake up in the morning and do a hard workout. I might just get on the vibration plate and do a couple of stretches. Yeah. And that's my morning workout if we've had a bad night's sleep.
Yeah. I think that's part of it. You've got to honour yourself. You've got to really listen to your body.
Yeah.
And if you need the rest, you need the rest. And if you can go hard, go hard.
And then we feel so good when we're doing conservative management. Like, you do notice the difference. And so it's sort of like helping you push forward, I suppose. Not that, I have to do this. It's like, well, actually, it makes me feel good. I mean, I love lying in my lymph press. It's so relaxing. Most of the time, I always fall asleep.
Oh, that's what I forgot to mention. I now wear Mobiderm to bed. Yeah, I got Mobiderm wraps. They're only just up above my knee.
Yeah.
I didn't get the full leg ones, but I got them secondhand on one of the Facebook sites. And so I'm like, I'll give them a go. And I wear them every night. And my husband calls them my kinky boots.
That's cute.
Put your kinky boots on.
Excellent.
That's really cool. Like some mornings I wake up and there's hardly any divots, and other mornings you wake up and there's like divots everywhere. So yeah, they're really cool.
That's very cool. Yeah. I loved I got the Mobiderm material. So it was like a big roll of the material, and I cut it all up so that I could like stuff it into my compression post-op, and it was really good. But those wraps look like way better.
Yeah,
way
they're cool.
than stuffing in the material.
Yeah, if you can afford it, I think, it's a good thing. I'll invest in the full-length ones in time.
Yeah. And it's cool for those buy, swap, and sell pages as well.
Love that.
If there's something that you bought that you're not happy with or you don't find yourself using, utilize those buy, swap, and sell pages so that you can get a bit of money back.
And someone else can trial it as well.
And vice versa, if there's something that you want to try, better off getting it secondhand first.
Yeah, I bought 2 boleros this week off the buy, swap, sell page, like the compression bolero.
How cool.
My arms get really sore when I hold them up. And I thought, well, I'm going into quite a physical new realm. Yeah, that will help me support my arms. Not my arms.
Is there anything else? I feel like I've covered everything.
No, I think that I try to remember to deep breathe.
I hear you. I'm such a...
Yeah, shallow breathing.
Yeah. In fact, my watch tells me, you seem to be stressed. Breathe with me. And then it if you press it, you can take you through a breathing exercise. But nobody got time for that. I just go, sorry about that. It pulls me up and I'm like, hey, I've got to breathe deeper.
Get that diaphragm work.
Yeah.
There's 50% of our lymph is in our tummy. So a deep breath.
Yeah. Everyone take a deep breath. Ready? There we go. We just put it on
there. We go. Lymphatic.
I feel like we can end on that note.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Bye.
Take care, everyone.
The Lipoedema Podcast 2025 is powered by Elegance Lymphatic Care. Lipoedema and its symptoms vary from individual to individual. The opinions and advice voiced in this podcast are of a personal nature and used for educational purposes.
Please take away from this podcast what resonates with you, and please see your GP or preferred specialist for diagnosis and healthcare. We are Shell and Tiana from the Lipoedema Podcast. Until our next episode, bye for now.